I don't know. Introduce myself.
Okay.
And good morning.
Good morning. I hear they got you for the yard sale again.
Yeah, you heard that?
I heard it last week.
Oh, well, I'm. That's funny. Lisa just asked me this morning if I was doing it.
Somebody was talking about something and they said, well, check with Sharon for the yard sale. Maybe we can put it in the yard sale.
That's funny.
Jordan's not here either.
No, I should have said when I saw them. I'm like, I should have brought it. I know. Okay, that's so funny.
as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is
His disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was sat on the ground and made mud with the saliva and spread the mud on the man's eyes, saying to him, Go, wash in the pool of Siloam. Then he went and washed and came back able to see. The neighbors and those who had seen him before as a beggar began to ask, Is this not the man who used to sit and beg? So for a second time they called the man who had been blind, and they said to him, Tell the truth. We know that this man is a sinner. He answered, I do not know whether he is a sinner. One thing I do know, that though I was blind, now I see. They said to him, What did he do to you? How did he open your eyes? He answered them, I have told you already that you would not listen. Why do you want to hear it again? Do you also want to become his disciples? Then they reviled him, saying, You are his disciple, but we are disciples of Moses. You were born entirely in sins, and are you trying to teach us? And they drove him out. Jesus heard that they had driven him out, and when he found him, he said, Do you believe in the Son of Man? He said, Lord, I believe, and he worshipped him. Jesus said, I came into this world for judgment, so that those who do not see may see, and those who do not see may become blind. Some of the Pharisees who were with him heard this and said to him, Surely we are not blind, are we? Jesus said to them, If you were blind, you would not have sin. But now that you say we see, your sin remains. Very truly, I tell you, anyone who does not enter the sheepfold by the gate, but climbs in by another way is a thief and a... The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep hears his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. They will not follow a stranger, but they will run from him because they do not know the voice of strangers. Jesus used this allegory with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them.
Thank you. I'm going to answer Dorothy's reading of John's story with another story. Picture this. Standing outside in a church garden after a youth group meeting, a boy reached his hand deep into the dirt, and with it being the season of rain, he scooped up a fistful of mud, and with almost no forethought, but wild abandon, threw it at his fellow youth group member. Suddenly, those gathered around could see that this was going to be a mess. The mud hit the intended target with sloppy force, and suddenly the mudslinging began with an intensity that rivaled the thunderstorm looming in the distance. The watchers soon became doers, and the dozen or so faces that had stood in observation were quickly caked with clay. Ears and elbows, knees and necks were all muddy with earth in the church garden. As everyone began to look as if they had been painted intentionally with a light chocolate hue, they began to look like brother or sister to a statue resting, unmoved, in the small garden. And still, the mud continued to be slung. Some threw it because it was fun. Some whipped it out a vengeance of being hit first. Some threw it because they feared being left out. Some weren't sure why they were participating, but most were mudslingers because the frenzy was just too much to resist. Everyone was doing it, and the thunder rolled in closer. Now, who's heard the expression, it's all fun and games until someone loses an eye? Well, many eyes were covered in wet, soggy clay, and it's a wonder that any could see. But on this day, it was a wing that was lost. Blinded by the fervor of the mud war, the youth could not see the still standing statue. And with the force of adolescent enthusiasm, the angel was knocked from where it stood and laid down hard in the dirt, wounded gravely by the war that began in innocence, all because it was the season of rain. There was a crack in the sky, and the thunder demanded that they stop. The injured angel was discovered, and suddenly the mud warriors could see the victim of their battle. The wing was a loss, broken off in the fight. Guilt and innocence mixed in heavily with the impending rain cloud. The senior pastor came out of her study to see the damage and asked, "Who is to blame for this mess? Who did this?" Suddenly the words flew fast. "Don't look at me. I couldn't even see where I was running because I was covered in mud." At that moment, the youth pastor walked through the garden towards the mud-caked kids. They picked up the wing, right-sided the statue, and said only, "Together, we can repair this damage and restore the garden fully. We can together wipe the mud clean. That is what matters. Not what has been, but will be. Not who started it, but who will finish it." They gave a chance to be peaceful and purposeful, showing love and being community. And in a miracle moment, the rain suddenly spit down on the gathered, and they were washed clean as they stood in the garden. God reached down into the dirt in the season before there were seasons. That's turned on the wrong page. In the season before of all things, and to the audacity of their human-made. Through time, we have thrown accusations about who sinned, which of the humans caused exile, wreaked havoc, threw mud, and broke off the wings of our relationship with God. At times of hubris, we've thought we've had the answers, and at times it has been clear as mud. But moment after moment, God has walked with us as we journeyed from the garden, and that is the miracle. Not who started it, but who will finish it. Not who began the hurt, but who ended the hurt. Jesus reached down into the dirt, and this being the season of challenge and change, miracle and mystery, of kindness and faith, he scooped up the dirt and spat into the clay. And he covered the eyes of a man, blind from birth, and then directed him to wash clean. The first humans in the season of sight and insight. While the disciples could not see the wonder that was in front of them, the man born blind knew he would walk towards us all through the shadows of movable as mud that it must have been someone else's fault. And after 3 days, when it seemed like the wing of every angel had been knocked off and broken forever, Jesus walked once again through the garden. God reached down in of human. That is the important part of the story. Not that we were guilty or innocent, but that God is there always, restoring, repairing, and resurrecting us perfect. God, our
Was lost, but
Guide us, O Shepherd, beside still waters, through green pastures and valleys of shadows. We will know that you are with us. Go now in peace.